Hey, it's your girl, Allison Williams.
Hey, this is Devon Howard.
Hi, this is Beth.
Hi, this is Cindy Mizell.
Hi, this is Tony Walker.
Hey, what's good, y'all? This is Darian Dean.
Hey, everybody. This is the Queen of Philadelphia, Tangeray Hayward.
Hey, everybody. This is Yazira.
Hi, this is Mason.
Hey, everybody. This is Russell Taylor.
Hey, this is Shireen Crutchfield.
And this is Ricky Jones.
And we are Crutchfield Jones.
Hey, this is Corey Day.
Hey, this is your girl, Castella.
Hey, everybody. This is Rebecca G.
Hey, everyone. This is Hill Street Soul.
What's up, good people? This is bassist Hubert Eves the Fourth.
This is Melvin Lee Davis.
Yo, what's checking? This is Noel Gordian, and you're listening to my man, Troy Saunders, on the BAAS Entertainment Podcast, baby.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the BAAS Entertainment Podcast. Hey, it's your boy, Troy, here. Hey, the music's what it... Hey, the music didn't want to stop. Hey, I just want to tell you, thank you for listening. Thank you for checking us out. In case you didn't know, we do the best in indie soul, jazz, R&B, house, and inspiration music. I always say the introduction, but I never say our tagline, which I should say a little more often, which is listening experiences for the indie artist aficionado. I love that little tagline. Yeah. So yes, we give listening experiences for the indie artist aficionado. Yeah, that's what we do up over here. So, you know what? Last week, or really the week before last, we had Ness come on, and she graced us with her presence, her beauty, and her talent, and her songwriting abilities, and all her knowledge. And today we have somebody on the line that I met the same time that I met Ness at the Women's Songwriters Hall of Fame Gala. And it was such a wonderful gala, such wonderful people there. And I was so glad to meet Mr. Christian de Mesones. Christian is a bad jazz bassist, and since 2020, he's just been doing his thing and rising up on the charts and making a name for himself, but he's been in the industry for over 40 years. But now, he's finally getting his walk in the sunshine. And I'm so honored that he's here today, and he's going to give us a lot of great lessons and great stories and tell us about his history and music. So before we speak to Christian, I'm going to play a little song from his first album called Big Tall Wish is the name of the song. But the album came out in 2020 and it's called They Call Me Big New York. Yeah. And anybody know Christian, you know why they call it Big New York. The brother's tall. All right. Yeah. Check this out. This is Big Tall Wish off of the 2020 album, They Call Me Big New York. Yeah. Yo, that's funky. That's jazzy. That's a little bit of everything. That's just a bad record right there. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, without further ado, let me introduce to you all Mr. Christian de Mesones.
Hey. You know what's happening? How's it going on, Troy? How you doing?
Everything is good. I can't complain, you know. I was about to say that song right there, I mean, that's just funky. It's jazzy. One thing I like about your music is a fusion. You put a little bit of everything together up in it.
Yes, sir, because, you know, I'm a little bit of a hybrid individual myself, man. I mean, you know, just because I'm from Brooklyn and Sunset Park and Saturday Night Fever land, I mean, yeah, I've got a lot of different things going on in my world, man, and the world that I left behind, you know. I grew up, man, with a whole bunch of different, you know, influences, man. I mean, my mom was from Bulgaria and my dad was from Peru. And, you know, I listened to heavy metal music as a kid and progressive rock and then fusion and jazz and Latin, man. And look where I am now, man. Who would have thunk that, you know, I mean, who would have thunk I'd be on the Troy Saunders show at BAAS Entertainment, man? By the way, BAAS, that was in my high school essay project, man. My English teacher said, what would you like to be when you grow up? And I said, I would like to be a bass player. So when she read it out loud, she says, Christian would like to be a bass player. and I looked at her and I said, wait up, man, we're in English class, correct? We're in English class, right? And she said, I don't understand what's wrong. What did I do wrong? I said, it's bass. Bass is when you throw out a line in a fishing pole, man. I got so upset with her. But yes, sir. Yes, it's a interesting journey, man. But I'm here with you today, brother.
Yes, you are. And you're doing it. You are doing
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the opportunity, man. Well, you know, you and I have something in common that I would love to share with your listening audience, and that is,
besides being from Brooklyn?
Well, besides being from Brooklyn and besides being two handsome mofos, because you and I, man, we could be the new Miami Vice, only it'd be called the Brooklyn Vice. You know what I'm saying? But it's not just that, but it's just the fact that you have recently retired and I have recently retired, and you retired from the New York City transit system and I retired from the Prince William County School of Transportation Department. So you and I both have retired from driving people around in our life. You know, we sat on a bus, or we sat on a bus or we gave orders, you know, but I find that quite interesting, man. That, you know, you're a superhero in my book, brother. You're a superhero.
Well, so
man.
have you. You've been driving people around, you know.
Yes, I know. I've been dealing with the kiddies, man, the precious cargo. I've been dealing with that for 18 years. And you've been doing yours for what, 27 years?
29 years.
29 years, my man. Yeah. Wow. That's quite a commitment.
Yeah.
It's quite a commitment.
But I can only drive for 10. After 10 years, I said, you know what? I got to get off this bus because these people drive me crazy.
So then, you have to deal with the public. I have to deal with the children and the parents. And the parents are quite militant about their babies. I mean, you know, they... Man, I'm like, I took that responsibility very seriously. It was something that I thought was quite rewarding, to be honest with you. It was one of those gigs that allowed me to do my music. It didn't take away, it didn't suck up my creativity, because it gave me back some kind of not really inspiration, but more like a purpose. It made me feel like I was part of the wheel well. I was a cog in the wheel, you know, and I was very important part to that wheel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you felt the same way, man.
Oh,
you
definitely.
Know? Yeah. And you know what? We have another thing in common now, because you went to Erasmus. My mother went to Erasmus. And my mother was a violin player. And you know what? Barbra Streisand went to Erasmus too. So we have a couple of things more in common. And now, if you remember Erasmus, you remember that area. I used to take the B-52 bus from Sunset Park up to Jamaica. And I used to take the Church Avenue.
35, the B-35.
Yeah, see, you remember. I don't even remember the bus.
Wait, shoot, I used to take that bus home. I lived in East New York.
Yeah. So I lived in East New York for a short time too. So, but yeah. So I remember I would always go to the movies. I'd go either by myself or go with my mom to the movies. So I would go to the Beverly movie theater, or I would go to the RKO Kenmore. I used to love seeing the horror movies. I used to go to the RKO Diker and see the double features of the Christopher Lee movies and the Ray Harryhausen sci-fi fantasy movies and stuff, man. So so we got something. We didn't know each other, but we walked the same streets.
Yeah,
And
my father went to Erasmus too. He might have went there when your mother went there.
One thing about my mom, rest in peace, she passed away last year. One thing I got to say is she was a big movie buff, and she would like every year on my birthday, she would take me to see something. I remember one time she took me to see The Exorcist, and that movie, the lines were so crazy to get in that movie, to see that movie when it came out in 1973, and we were separated. So I was sitting closer to the front and she was sitting closer to the back. And when that movie started rolling, when the first really impactful scene of Reagan being possessed happened, man, I'm looking around. I'm like sticking my head out, trying to find my mother. And I could see her looking at me about 20 rows behind me, making sure I was okay. Okay. Because that movie shook me, man. That was one of those movies that shook me up.
It's funny. Parents back in the day used to take you to all the movies. They didn't care whether it was R or PG. I remember my parents used to take me to the movies, and it would be like Coffee and the black exploitation movies and all the sex scenes and stuff in there. And I'd be just sitting there watching. Parents just say, if I'm going to go see it, you go see it too. They didn't leave you at home back in the day. You going.
I know, man. It was so cool. I mean, we were younger. We got to see, breastises on big screens and stuff. And we were like, right there and then we knew, I like that. I think I want that in my life. I remember going to see those same movies, man. I saw Cooley High and it was in the Mac together, Cooley High and the Mac, man. And I saw it in the Metropolitan Movie Theater on DeKalb in Flatbush. And by the way, I have a song called DeKalb.
I know.
Flatbush.
I said, right by Junior's Cheesecake.
Right by Junior's Cheesecake, man. Man, I'll tell you, it's amazing. We get very nostalgic when we think about our childhood, and especially when our parents were alive and were in our lives like that, It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
My mother passed in 2017, so yeah, I feel your pain.
Yeah, man, it's all good. It's all good. I try my best to keep them alive in song. Like I just released a new single 2 weeks ago called Don Pedro, and I wrote it right after my father passed. He passed in 2013, and my father was a very interesting character because this guy was like, El Presidente, El Exigente, man. He came off, man, like he was the ambassador to Peru. And you know what? He was actually at one time, I know when he came from Peru to America, he was a journalist. And then he got into politics, and he worked for a short time. He worked for Richard Nixon, and then he worked for Gerald Ford. And so he had an office in Washington, D.C. on I Street. So as I was growing up, my parents separated, and this was around the time when I didn't really have him in my life that much, So I used to wonder, how the hell is he making all this money? Like I didn't realize, how did all of a sudden, man, he leaves my mom, and now he's like a very successful businessman, But he was really, really an interesting character to me. Never really supported my music. Didn't want me to be a musician, but I found a way. I found a melody that reminds me of him, and I finally recorded it. I released it a couple weeks ago, called Don Pedro, and I feel like I captured his spirit in a song. Like this guy, I got my dad. Like when I hear that joint, I think of my dad. I start crying every time I hear that joint. So that's quite an accomplishment, man. I keep him close, you know.
Well, I don't want to bring on any tears, but I was going to play a little bit of it.
Oh, it's a beautiful song. The one thing I have to say is the people that hear it, the first thing that they tell me is they go, you know, they don't make music like that anymore. It's like the music is very reminiscent of maybe of a soundtrack, of a romantic soundtrack, or is reminiscent of. I always mention Gato Barbieri because he's one of my favorite. I love Gato. Yeah, he's one of my favorites, right? You too? You like Gato?
Love him.
Yeah, so I think this song captured a little bit of Gato in the production and the melody. I hired a great saxophone player. He used to be on Trippin' and Rhythm. His name is Jared. He goes by Jared. His full name is Jared Rosamina, and he's an incredible player. And when I first performed a song over 10 years ago, I played it live. And there's a clip of it somewhere on YouTube of me playing the song live. I remember that this guy, man, just nailed the melody. He just nailed it exactly the way that I heard it in my head. That's a really hard thing to do. It's very hard to find a musician that's going to give you exactly what you want, you know. And when you find those kind of musicians, you don't want to let go of them. You don't want to, you know, and I'm surrounded by many musicians like that in my life right now. I've got a bunch of great players around who play with me, and they all have something to bring. They're all very talented. They actually, sometimes I think I'm the least talented on the stage when I'm around these guys. These guys are so good, you know?
It's so good to have a good accompaniment and people that you can feed off of and add new things to your songs as well.
Absolutely. And that's always been my goal as somebody who is still a performing artist. I mean, and, you know, recording is different. You know, recording, you can manipulate a lot. You know, we live in a digital era now. We're in a digital time where we can control everything. We can actually erase a bad note. You can raise the note to a pitch. You know, you could do anything. You could manipulate sound so well now, you know. But live is a whole different beast.
You can't manipulate that.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing. You can't fake the funk when you're doing it live. And so I'm very fortunate, man. I'm still able to perform live. I've been playing now. I'm 62, and I look at people who are older than me. I look like at Bob James, you know, or Dave Grusin, who's in his 90s or something, you know. Yeah. And I look at them and I'm like going, that's incredible. That's incredible. Like Sergio Mendes. Yeah. That's incredible, man.
Sergio Mendes.
You know what I mean? These guys, Herb Albert, all of these guys, they're in their late 80s, man. And they have the stamina. They can, you know, because you already know, right?
Yeah. I think the music is preserving them.
Yes. I think it's pickled them, I think, you know, and in some ways, right? I think that, well, you know, first of all, you and I both look pretty young. I mean, you know, we're very fortunate. We've got good genetics, and part of my, I think my time capsule, so to speak, is because I did a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll in my 20s. You know, I lived a very vicarious, you know, lifestyle in a way. I think I used the right word, precarious, vicarious. I'm not sure, but I lived a very interesting lifestyle in my 20s where I was really free to do whatever I wanted to do. And because of that, I think it carried on. I think having music in your life, it just makes you, I don't know, it doesn't really stress. It shouldn't stress you out is the one thing. If music stresses you out, something's wrong. And, you know, it shouldn't.
I think that's the reason why it's preserving, because it keeps your blood pressure down. You relax, I feel like when I turn on some music, it takes me out of whatever I'm going through, and I can exhale.
Absolutely.
So
I'm with you on that.
Let's play a little Don Pedro.
Oh, okay. All right, sure.
Because we talked about it, but we not give everybody a little clip of it.
Okay.
Okay. So we won't come back and talk, y'all, but I just want to get this song in there, and I know you're going to enjoy it. This is the latest single by Christian, and it's called Don Pedro. I even hate to fade that song because it's just so beautiful. I love a song that stirs emotion in you. And
yeah. I remember once in my teenage years, my sister came back. She was and going through some traveling in her life at the time. And when she came back, she brought this record by the name of, the artist's name was Milton Nascimento. And the song was called Bridges. And every time she'd play this song, I don't understand it, but I would just cry. It's like the melody of the song was so beautiful to me, and I'm like, man, that music can do that, and for that song, for me, I've created a song that moves me like that, and that's a very hard feat for a composer to be able to be moved by his own music, you know what I mean? Yeah. But, I pray and I hope that the people will receive this particular gift, this composition, the way it was intended. It's not a dance song. It's not a song you're going to play at a party, man, for people to, whatever. It's one of those songs that,
it's conveying love.
Make you think. Yeah, it'll make you think. It'll stop you in your tracks. I hope that's what that's what my vision is.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you for playing the snippet of it. I appreciate it.
Because I don't want to play the whole thing. I want people to go in there and support it, brother. Go to your site and download it, and what's it, like $129 for the song? Go on over there and get it. What's $129, y'all?
I don't, you know what? I can't wrap my head around it. I can't wrap my head around the reality. Since, I'm a dinosaur. I've got one foot in the past. I remember the good old days of record stores and units, selling units every week and tallying up, how many units you sold and all that, and now today we have people that are willing to give $11 or $12 to a subscription or $14 to a monthly subscriptions, multiple subscriptions, and not even care, not even be on top of it. But when you ask them to pay $1 to download a song or whatever, it's like pulling teeth, man. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I please, it's ridiculous. I mean, same thing, with the podcast. I'm like, shoot, it costs money to do these podcasts.
Yeah.
So at one time I was asking, hey, can y'all donate, blah, blah, blah? Nobody. I'm like, but you're listening and stuff. So, I got to find alternate measures, alternate means. But yeah, it's crazy. Nobody wants to come up with anything.
It works for certain people. I mean, there are people out there who will do GoFundMe campaigns to generate some capital for their project. My opinion is this: if I'm able to afford to create my vision, I'm not going to ask anybody to give me any money. I mean, I understand there are people out there who are in a position to give me money. I only ask of them to buy my music or support me that way so that I can offset. Excuse me. I can offset the cost. I don't even care about making a profit. It'd be nice to make a profit, but I definitely don't want to be in a hole, and I definitely don't want to be in a place where I'm paying off credit cards for 10 years on just being able to create my art.
Right.
Yeah,
I get it, because I mean, I find I can't ask people for money. I can't find it in me to do that.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm not comfortable. Me too.
If it's an exchange of something, like that's why I have T-shirts and sweatshirts and candles and stuff like that. If they're getting something out of it, then I don't mind. Hey, buy my T-shirt, buy my sweatshirt. But just to say, hey, donate, or it's tough.
I agree with you. I don't know. Some people are okay with it. I know people who are financially making an incredible living doing music, and they still think it's okay to ask for their fans for money. I'm like, everybody's hard. I mean, we're all hard workers, man. We all, I don't know. I don't get it. If you can't receive the gift that I'm giving you, that's one thing. But, I'm not going to beg. I'm not going to ask. I'll ask you to come see me perform because, I do a great show. Now, where are you located out of, by the way?
I'm in Connecticut now.
Okay, so I would love for you to be able to come down and see me at I'm playing two big shows. I'm playing one with Sheila E. and Will Downing and Jonathan Butler and Steve Cole. That's a big show. That's in November. That's on a Saturday in Hampton. That's far from you. But the one that isn't as far, but still far for you, is the one in Washington, D.C. at Bethesda Theater. It's a beautiful theater, big stage, beautiful place. I would love for you to be able to come down and see. That's a Friday night, though. I don't know what your schedule's like. It's December 8th. But if I could arrange to get you there, get you tickets, and maybe even take care of your transportation or something, I'll try my best to bring you there because, you came down to D.C. for the Songwriters Hall of Fame. That was a good investment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting night. That was a really, really interesting night. And Ness had so much to do with putting all of that together, especially last minute. She had so many boomerangs thrown at her while she was putting that show together. And that was an incredible show.
Yes,
it was really good. Yes, it was. Really great show.
Met so many wonderful people. I mean, it was just a great night. Castella, she's the one that got me to come. She said, Troy, I'm going to be at the Women's Songwriters Hall of Fame Gala. Why don't you come on down? And I said, okay.
That's nice.
I said, I would love to, because, she did the podcast last year. I said, well, I would love to meet you face to face. I'm gonna make my way down there. So I did.
Man, Castella's a great ambassador of connecting people. She's got a talent. There's no doubt about it. She's a magnet. She's a magnet. Yes. Yeah.
Hey, this is your girl Castella, and I am listening to my friend Troy on the BAAS Entertainment Podcast.
So let's go back a little bit. When did the music bug hit you? Did you always feel like, hey, I know you said in school you wrote that you wanted to be a bassist. How did you know you wanted to be a bassist? And what made you want to be a bassist?
I've always been around music, and I have an older brother and sister that really turned me on to all kinds of music. So I was very fortunate. I got a little bit of the Beatles and the Woodstock generation, and then I got a little bit of the progressive and fusion. And then when, they were all older, so my brother turned me on to not only that stuff, but also, George Duke and Isley Brothers and stuff like that. So, and then of course I grew up in the Motown, Wilson Pickett era also. So, I was born in 61. So I think my earliest memories of going to the record store and buying a single, they were like, buying Wilson Pickett or buying, Sly and the Family Stone or so I had music always around me. And, of course, when I became a adolescent teenager, I really gravitated toward glam rock and hard rock and heavy metal, basically because my brother and sister weren't into it. I wanted to really find my own thing, right? And so I became a David Bowie fan and Elton John fan. And, I liked a lot of the hard rock bands back then, Black Sabbath and all that stuff. And then I discovered a band called Kiss. And for me, Kiss was everything that I was looking for. It had, I was a kind of an artistic child, man. I would always draw comic books and I would read comic books and I'd see horror movies all the time. So the whole mystique about Kiss really fit into the kind of things that I personally related to, So, when I went to see my first concert, I was 14 years old. I was in first year of high school, and my father and my mother allowed me to go to see my first concert. And I went to see Kiss on New Year's Eve at Nassau Coliseum. And I got to tell you, man, that moment is still ingrained in my head. That moment is like, I was in the front row, man, and I'm looking at Gene Simmons and I'm hearing, this is the first time now. I've listened to all of this music, but if you were to tell me who's playing the bass on any of these songs, I'd be like, I don't know. Like if you were to tell me, all right, can you differentiate the bass from all the other instruments? I would be like, I'm not sure. But after I saw Gene Simmons, I heard his bass distinctively, which was a very odd sound. It was almost like a chainsaw, like it wasn't a very pleasant bass sound. It was, you know what I mean? It wasn't something funky like Larry Graham or right. It's all soulful. It wasn't soulful whatsoever in that way, that respect. But I identified with it, and immediately, I came home, and I was at the time I was in first year of high school, so I was studying to be a cartoonist and an animator, and I already had a job doing paste ups and mechanicals as an assistant to a very, very popular illustrator who was at the time, now you would remember this because you were similar, but there used to be a horror magazine called Vampirilla and Creepy and Eerie. Do you remember those magazines?
I remember those, yeah.
Yeah. And this guy did the covers to some of these magazines, and I'm working for this, and I'm like a pimple-faced, chubby adolescent, not even, I don't even think I got pubic hair yet, man. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm working for this guy who's phenomenal. This guy's a phenomenal artist. His name is Carlos Guzan. I'll never forget his name. And, and my dad hooked me up with that job and everything. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a cartoonist. I'm going to be in that, whatever. I'm going to work for Marvel Comics, all this stuff. But after I saw Kiss, man, I didn't want to have nothing to do with art anymore. All I wanted to do was get a bass guitar, play on stage, and that's all I wanted. I wanted to be a rock star. That's all I wanted.
It's so crazy. We have so much similarities, so many similarities. Same thing with me. I mean, I used to draw. I drew. We used to make our own comic books, me and my friends. We have our own superheroes, and I would draw my superhero, and they would draw their superhero, and we'd make a whole comic book out of it.
Yeah.
And when I went to Erasmus, I originally went for art.
And they had a good, strong art department in Erasmus. I remember.
Yeah. And I was going to be a graphic artist. That's what I was going to be. And then I went to FIT for, they had classes for students that were still in high school, but they wanted to get some college credits. I used to go to FIT. One of my teachers, his wife worked at FIT, and it was called Saturday Live. And I would go there and do classes there too. But then, music always was my number one. But I think I chose art because I felt like I would have a better career in art. My father's like, it's hard to be an artist because my father sings and plays guitar, plays piano. So he's like, it's hard out there. That's not an easy thing. You better have something else to fall back on. So I thought art would be the thing that I fall back on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good choice, man, especially if you wanted to be a graphic designer in New York City, man. You would always be able to get your foot in the door if you had some talent. It's just, you have to have your happy place. You got to find whatever you do, it's got to make you happy. And the art didn't make me happy. I just did not have happiness after that. After that concert, my friend, I was on a mission, man. I was on a mission. And a lot of people who remember me from high school, they'll tell you, "Oh yeah, this guy was Gene Simmons, like his doppelganger." Because I used to move like him. I had his basses. I was very influenced by him. And, it's really amazing to think about the music I make now and think about where I came from. It's really, really a long, long, far journey. I mean, it's, I don't even know if you can hear any of my Kiss influences in my music these days, but, I know.
What brought on that change? What made you want to change from, heavy metal to doing more jazzy R&B fusion stuff?
Well, I didn't want to be a fat old man in spandex pants, man. That was one of the biggest things. And wearing a wig. I had friends who were already ordering Hair Club for Men wigs, man. So I was like, that ain't going to be me. I'm not going to be fake, But I think really. The real answer for that is when you're a bass player, the core of your love for the instrument, which I really love the bass. I mean, I think that in some ways the bass is limited in rock because we have such a job to do in rock and hard rock music. We have to be the cement. The drums, the drywall, the bass is the cement, and the guitar, are the fixtures and the lights and everything in the room, and people gravitate toward that beauty in rock. They gravitate toward the electric guitar. The electric guitar is such a predominant sound in hard rock and heavy metal. And so in order for you to be a bass player, successful bass player, a creative, successful bass player, you either have to be you have to write all your music and be able to give all your music over to a guitar player or whatever, or you need to be a leader in a band. And that's the one thing I didn't learn. I didn't learn that until much later. I didn't realize, because I kept on finding myself being in a situation where I was threatening other guitar players or threatening other musicians because I was already very confident in my writing skills. Even back in the heavy metal days, I wrote entire songs, and I would write the double lead guitar harmonies and everything in the heavy metal days, right? So some people saw my worth and said, this guy's a great songwriter, man. We should keep him in the band. And others saw me as a threat and kicked me out and fired me from being in the band. Mm-hmm. So I didn't learn that lesson until much later, because I really tried, I tried to keep the fellowship aspect of creating music, which was really, really important to me. I wanted to be with friends. I wanted to play with people I care about and love. And I wanted to, create magic by writing original music together. And to find that combination in a person, to find that person who goes, you know what, I want to share my life with this guy, this vision, is really, really hard. So it wasn't until, look how long it's taken me. I mean, till 2015 is when I went on my own, and 2020 was when my first album, and now my new album is coming out soon, and it's my second album. And it's taken me this long. I mean, 2020 was the first album, and now 2023 is going to see, the release of my second album, or the early 24, depending on how I plan on releasing it. But yeah, I mean, it's taken me a very long time to learn these kind of lessons, Mm-hmm. And if anybody was to ask me advice, if you're a musician or an artist, and you need some advice, you're looking for advice and you're young, I mean, my biggest thing is I would say to you, tell me exactly what you want out of music. What do you really want out of music? Do you want to be a hit man? In other words, do you want to be a work for hire musician? Well, if you want to be a work for hire musician, you got to learn how to read music. You got to learn how to read charts. You've got to be able to go from one genre to another genre fluently. And also the biggest thing that nobody tells you about that aspect of being a musician is you have to have a personality that gets along with people. Mm-hmm. And that's very hard. When you're an artist, you have a big ego and you have a vision. It's like me, I have my vision, I have my ego, and I'll let people, act like they're doing whatever they want to do sometimes. But then, it gets to a point where I'll blow up at you. I'll actually blow up at you and say, hey, man, I just paid you yada, yada, yada to play 30 minutes on stage, 60 minutes on stage, and you can't learn my music, man. And I paid money for charts and whatever because you decided that you want to play in too many different bands and you can't learn the music. I mean, these are the kind of things that you start having to go through when you're a leader. And so I always ask young people, I say, are you prepared to be a leader? Do you want to leave a legacy? Because I hate to tell you this, no matter how great of a technician you are, when you're dead and buried, very few people are going to talk about you. Mm-hmm. You know who they're going to talk about? They're going to talk about the people that have left music behind that they could discover on their own, whether they discover a used record in a record store bin or they discover it online and they go, holy crap, I've never heard of this guy before. How could this guy exist and I didn't know? Or how did this person exist? How did this woman exist? I didn't know anything about her work. That's the decision that I made. I made that decision and I was sticking to it. And I said, I don't care how long it's going to take me now. I'm already older. I'm already in my 50s, my friend. And I'm already taking this lesson. Took me so long to learn. I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to record music every year. I'm going to at least put out one song a year, 2 songs a year. And I'm going to save up money to be able to hire a radio promoter to service these songs, because unfortunately, you can't do it on your own. I have friends who think they can, I have guys who know the inside and out of music business, and they just literally, they just get to the top 100 of Billboard. And if you want to get to the top 10, top 20, top 30, where everybody pays attention to you, you got to spend some money, and you have to make sure that you have a good team behind you. You have to make sure that it's not just one person you're spending money with, you're spending money with multiple people. I mean, it's really crazy. It's really, really crazy that way. And that's the way you'll get noticed. That's the way you'll break through. Sooner or later, people will start hearing more and more about your endeavors, and they'll appreciate what you're doing. You know, you'll be like the cream, rise to the top. Yeah. You know.
Hi, this is Mason. You're listening to my friend Troy on the BAAS Entertainment Podcast.
But it's sad that you had to, pay to get your work acknowledged.
Well, you know what? We live. This is the one thing nobody teaches us, right. Troy. Nobody teaches us this unless you go to Wall Street, or unless you go to business school, or you go to marketing school. You know, you come up with a product that people need. You're not even halfway there. You're not, you know what I mean? Just because you came up, let's say you came up with a cure for cancer. Guess what, my friend? All the money is not even in the cure. It's all about the marketing. Yeah. It's all about the other hand. And I personally think that marketing is more like 80% and the product is 20%. I don't think that's fair. I think it should be product percent, 80%, marketing 20, but that's not the reality of the world we live in.
No.
You know? And so if you're a young artist and you're listening to this and you're listening to me, those are some of the things that I've learned. I've learned that I have to create, savings, whether I put my own money, whether I work a day job and save the money, or put it on a credit card and pay it off in 2 years or whatever the case is. I got to spend money to make sure that people know I exist. That's it.
It's so true. It's so true.
Yep.
I mean,
yes, sir.
I think about the things that I've been going through this past year. I mean, shoot, I spend money, to get my name and get BAAS Entertainment out there. Yeah.
Well, you're doing a good job on social media. And that's very important. You got a nice logo. You share your stuff on social media, and you also are trying to create a buzz about your platform by helping other nonprofit organizations get to their goals, and all you could do is keep on doing it. All you could do,
that's it.
Reality is, all you could do is hope that you attract somebody that sees your integrity and says, I want to stick with this guy. You know what I mean? I want to hang with this guy. Because you know what? We all have attention deficit. I don't care what you say. I don't care. You can argue it till you're blue in the face, but our life goes so fast in front of us, and we have choices every single second. Where do we want to spend the next 5 minutes? Do we want to watch TV? We want to watch the news? Do we want to go out and exercise? Do we want to go in the studio and create? What do you want to do with your time, with your each day, your 20, your 12 hours or 14 hours that you're up? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that person, whoever that person is, says, you're worth my time. You're worth my time.
I've been thinking that, each step I've been more and more blessed. I've been approached by people from the Recording Academy that said they want me in their chapter. So I'm like, all right, hey, I always wanted to be a Grammy voter. So yeah.
Well, I can get you in. I'm a Grammy voting member. I can get you in.
Well, I think I already got my 2 recommendations, and they already sent me my thing. I just got to send in my bio. So
so it's $150 a month now. It used to be $100. Mm-hmm. And the one thing about them is they're really sticklers for deadlines. Mm. You can't mess around with whatever dates they give you. So if you miss that date, you're not gonna be happy. I personally missed my date to renew my membership by a couple of weeks, and because of it, they said I wasn't eligible, or they didn't allow me to submit my own music for this year's Grammys. So I'm on the Grammy ballot for as a featured artist for Bill McGee's Flight Time, the tribute to Donald Byrd, and I'm hoping that comes through I would definitely like to be able to say I'm a Grammy nominated artist. I already can say I'm a #1 Billboard recording artist. There are people out there that want that so bad on their resume. So I've got that, and Grammy is my next goal. So I'm hoping I achieve that.
Well, how did that come to be, Hispanica with Bob James? How did you get Bob James on there?
It was really, and anybody who knows my story knows this story. I've told it a million times already. It's one of those things where, I originally released that song as a vocal track, and I hired a great singer from the West Coast named Deborah Galan, who I adore her talent, and I thought she's a great singer. And I asked her to use my melody, because I wrote the whole song. I said, use this melody and write words and fit words about the Hispanic condition, what it's like to be Hispanic today. And this was around the time, we saw these visions of Donald Trump, man, with the kids in the cages and stuff, and then the Dreamers situation where they were, all of this politics, man, it was getting on my nerves. Everything was getting on my nerves, and I hated to put on the television. I didn't want to hear Donald Trump's name once. Unfortunately, I'll watch TV now and I still get to hear this freaking knucklehead, right?
I know.
But the song was beautiful and I loved it. But the one thing I have to say is that I didn't want the composition to fade away. Like I was like, Big Tall Wish did very well for me. Spirit on that album did very well for me. Latin Jive Redux did very well for me. That was the #1 in the UK for about 12 weeks or so. So I had all of these releases that did very well for me, right, on the album. But one of my radio promoters reached out to me and said, you've got a bona fide hit with this Hispanica, but you got to do one thing. You got to take the vocals off and make it an instrumental. And I didn't like hearing that. I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. But I slept on it. And the next day I said, you hold me a spot and I'll change the song. I'll take the vocals off and I'll make it an instrumental. And so I just happened to be talking to someone like you, only he was in the UK. And he basically told me, he was like, hey, you have a great song. I love your song. And I made a joke. I said, wouldn't it be funny if we had like a Bob James character on this song? And he said, I'm friends with Bob James. I'll give him a call. So he gave Bob James a call. He sent the song to Bob James. Bob James reached out to me via email and said that he listened to the song, that he liked it, and he would love to play on it. And that's it. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened.
That's divine intervention right there.
That's divine intervention, man. Divine. And the thing about being associated with Bob, I had no idea that it was going to give me a #1 record. The hardest hurdle that I have as an artist right now is creating music that Sirius XM Watercolors responds to. They don't seem to respond to my music. They don't seem to accept my music on their platform. Now, it was hard for them to turn down Hispanica. But if you listen to Hispanica and you listen to everything else that's on their station, Hispanica really stood out. It was a strong composition, strong song, whether it was with Bob James or anybody else. It was a very strong composition. And I think Bob James just knighted me. He was able to open the door with Watercolors. And hey, the rest is history. I mean, who'd ever think a guy who loves Kiss would have Bob James on his record, man, and open the door like that? Who would ever think like that? I would never in a million years think that would happen to me. Never.
Well, we would be remiss if we didn't play it. So let's give people a little sample of Hispanica.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just sweet. That's just a bad record right there. Love it. I don't even, like you said they won't pick up your songs. I don't understand how they don't pick up like Sweet Night. That's incredible. Spirit, Latin Jive Redux. All of these are just incredible songs. I mean, what do you feel is a disconnect with them?
Well, I've spoken to a bunch of people, you know, who are on the inside, who are favored. And it seems that they really just seem to gravitate to a certain sound. They like a certain kind of production. It doesn't seem like they like if you've got too many instruments going on. Now, I was very, very fortunate. I was really surprised that they even accepted Hispanica because it's got piano and it's got flute. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you know, some people, they don't want to hear it's got guitar, it's got flute. I mean, the bass, a lot of people don't understand. They just hear me going boom, boom, boom. But I'm actually playing a real pretty finger picking line that gets mixed into the whole song. So you don't even hear the, you know, dun 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 dun. That's what I'm playing, you know. If it was played on mallets, you would hear it, you know, dun 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 dun, you know, but I'm playing it on a 6-string bass. I'm very surprised. I think that they have their own vision of what they think their audience wants. And I tend to disagree. I actually seem to prefer the song list and of many of these independent radio DJs. Many of the ones that are out there that seem to like both the watercolor style sound and also all kinds of smooth jazz. You know what I mean?
And I think also, I mean, they don't want anything too funky either. Like when I was talking to Hubert Eves, the fourth, and he has a song called Incubated Funk. And he said they wouldn't put it on the radio stations. They said it's too funky for jazz. And
yeah, it's there seems to be
but it's a bad record. I'm like, I don't see how anybody didn't want to play that record. You know, in my mind, you know, good music is good music.
It is. It is. Let me tell you another thing, another reality, and I don't want to come off bitter, I'm definitely not bitter, man. I'm holding my integrity to I'm holding my own standards up. You know, I'm not upset with the reality of what's going on with that, you know. But I will tell you this much about it. I don't think that contemporary or smooth jazz should be considered elevator music. And I don't believe that it should be music that needs to be in the background. And unfortunately, some of these programmers believe that that's what needs to be programmed is background music, you know, elevator music. And if you listen to some of the songs that are being played, unfortunately, they all kind of sound alike after 5 minutes. You know, you put on a station like that, and after 15 minutes, man, you're like, you know, I want to hear a diverse kind of sound. I need to be stimulated. And I don't think that that's what they want. I don't think they want their audiences to be stimulated on that level. And I'm, like I said, I'm not bitter, and I'm not trying to insult the watercolors fan, because there's a lot of really, really big watercolors fans out there that measure the success of an artist through that. But when you really got to think of what you have to think about is that many of the people who are also being featured on these stations, the Jeff Lorbers and the Kenny G's and the Boney Jameses and all of the Rick Brons and all of that, they've put in their dues for 30, 40 years. I mean, they were selling CDs in the record stores in 1990.
True.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So you got to give them I mean, they paid their dues. They've seen the changes. You know what I mean? And maybe the powers that be are very, very hesitant on just letting everybody come in. You know, the gatekeepers, they don't really want to let you in. They want you to maybe spend another 10 years floundering and spending your own money until they decide that they're going to give you a break. And so you got to decide on what you want to do. You have to decide on how you want to carry yourself that way. Do you want to flounder for 10 years, do things on your own measure, spend your own money, you know, or do you want to play the game? I'm a stubborn dude, man. I'm a hard-headed guy. I'm like Caldonia, you know. Caldonia, why is your big head so hard? You know, for real, man. I mean, it's hard for me to want to play the game, and so I have to deal with that reality, Troy, and not be bitter. I'm not bitter, man. I'm not, man. You know, I'm happy. I'm a happy camper.
I think about sometimes I say, I wonder what it's going to take if I could have my own radio station, because I think I would have such an eclectic mix. I mean, I have a BAAS Entertainment Podcast playlist on Spotify and iTunes, and I have a little bit of everything on there. And then at one point I said, I'm going to mix up the playlist and have just a jazz one and just an R&B one and just a house one. But I said, no, I think I like them all together because it's a change, you know, so everything doesn't sound the same.
Yeah.
So I keep them all on my playlist. And I played it one time when I had some company here. And to me, it flows well. You know, it's good.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. And if you were to do your own radio station, I think the most important thing to do is really not just go internet. I think it would be great if you can get partners and buy a thing on the AM dial. You know, those stations are not as expensive as FM, and start, you know, reaching out and getting sponsors, man. I mean, you know, the local deli, man, you know, I mean, if you went to the local deli and said, nobody knows about your sandwiches, you know, don't you want them on my radio station? You know, they'll do it. They'll do so, you know, and you don't have to charge them an arm and a leg, man. You know, charge them $50 or whatever, and you get about 30 advertisers at $50 a pop. You're going to start being able to, you know, offset your expenses, you know. Yeah. So but it's a lot of work, and it's not easy to do it on your own, you know. But
like I said, I need a village. I need a couple of other people. But that's still a goal, and I think it's attainable.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Nuss, and you're listening to Troy Saunders on BAAS Entertainment Podcast.
First of all, I want to tell everybody, you know, we have had the pleasure of talking with Mr. Christian de Mesones today. Yes.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody that's been listening. Thank you for everybody that's been checking out the show. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing it. You know, believe it or not, we are in 32 countries, and I find that hard to believe. And as I told Ness on our last podcast, I got word that we like #1 in Chile. Wow. How about that? I was like, what are we, the only podcast in Chile? But
wow,
I'm
that's pretty cool though, man. That's
right?
awesome.
Yes. So I just want to say thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you. You know, I could go on forever talking, you know, but there's so many other things that we need to do. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming on, taking your time to speak with me, and sharing your knowledge with me and the listeners. And I wish also I want to know, tell the people where you're going to be. Tell the people how they can get in contact with you. Tell them how they can purchase your music. Give them a little lowdown on where they can catch Mr. Christian de Mesones at.
Well, I am going to be performing in 2 places, 2 big shows before the end of the year is up. One is for Jazz Legacy Foundation at the Hampton Convention Center with Sheila E., Will Downing, and Jonathan Butler and Steve Cole. That's a really big show for me. And then I'll be playing Smooth and Funky Christmas with guest artist Sharon Ray North. That's at Bethesda Theater. The best way to reach me, you can always find me. I'm on all social media. I'm on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page that says Christian de Mesones, a.k.a. Big New York Artist Page. And I also, if you come to my website, you can leave a message on my website, which is very easy to remember. It is bignybass.com. That's BIGNY bass, BASS.com, Big New York Bass World, whatever. But you can find me. Big NY Bass is the best, easiest way to find me. Reach out to me. You can order all my products, my T-shirts, and my CDs. I also have some left of my very first CD that came out in 2010. That was Groove School Band, and I still perform some of the songs off of that album. I perform in my set list. I perform DeKalb and Flatbush, which is from that album. Also features a great vocalist by the name of Laurie Williams. I don't know if you're familiar with Laurie Williams. She has made some big strides in the last 3 or 4 years, like myself. So definitely reach out to me on bignybass.com. And I definitely appreciate all the support and love. I understand life is life, but just don't let life get in the way, my friends.
Yes.
Don't settle for that statement. Don't let life get in the way, man. Enjoy life while it's happening, man. Enjoy every single minute of it, the ups and downs.
Yes. And thank you. Yo, and love one another. We, there's so many things trying to bring us down today. Let's continue to love one another and bring each other up with positive words, because that's what's needed today. So let's continue that positive vibe. And until next time, y'all, thank you for tuning into BAAS Entertainment Podcast. This is Troy Saunders, and we are going to leave you with a Latin Jive Redux, okay? Check this out. I know you're going to love it.
It's your girl, Allison Williams.
Hey, this is Devon Howard.
Hi, this is Beth.
Hi, this is Cindy Mizell. Mizell.
Hi, this is Tony Walker.
Hey, what's good, y'all? This is Darian Dean.
Hey everybody, this is the Queen of Philadelphia, Tanqueray Hayward.
Hey everybody, this is Yazira.
Hi, this is Mason.
Hey, everybody, this is Russell Taylor.
Hey, this is Shireen Crutchfield.
And this is Ricky Jones.
And we are Crutchfield Jones.
Hey, this is Corey Day.
Hey, this is your girl Castella.
Hey everybody, this is Rebecca G.
Hey everyone, this is Hill Street Soul.
What's up, good people? This is bassist Hubert Eves the Fourth.
This is Melvin Lee Davis.
Yo, what's checking? This is Noel Gordian, and you're listening to my man Troy Saunders on the BAAS Entertainment Podcast, baby.